picture for a moment going to a doctor for a year. Now picture taking some medicine for a year that he's been prescribing. Now picture of people who have been going to religious doctors for 400 years. Picture that. And taking a medicine they have been prescribing 100 years, they go to get an examination. The diagnosis says that the patient is worsening. So the patient goes back to the same doctor and he gets a prescription for the same medicine. And he takes it for another 100 years. And he goes in to be diagnosed. And the doctor says, your condition is worse now than it was 100 years ago. We come now to 2012, and upon examination, after taking the same medicine over and over and over again, every Sunday, every Wednesday, every whatever, over and over and over again, we have a report. And you go and find that this is not the truth. We have a report that in my community, I don't know about the Chinese community, I don't know about the Japanese community, I don't know about the Philippine community, but in my community, from Harlem, New York, to Los Angeles, California, from Memphis to Montgomery, Alabama, in my community, the report says your people have arrived at a position of being on life support. They're educationally comatose. They're spiritually in despair. Okay. And we still going to the same doctors, getting the same medicine, and Jeremiah is still telling us we're not saved. And why is that? I'll tell you why. Because Jesus said, John 8:32, he didn't say anything about these lies that we've been preached to. He said, ye shall know the truth, and the truth will make you free. Now that's very simple. He didn't say anything about some doctrine in this man-made tradition and a man-made building called a church. He didn't say, we got 30,000 different denominations in America. 30,000! Think about it. They're all giving us a medicine that's going to free us and save us and help us get on our way. And we stand now in 2012, ask anybody in any category, we're in worse shape now than we've been in a long time. If you look at our health condition, this poison that they're feeding us is killing us. Look at any category. This miseducation that they're providing us. Our children are dumber today than they were 100 years ago. Look at any area of our life. Poverty is stricken. And yet, we're being preached a lie that if I get through talking to you, and if I scream loud enough, and arouse you emotionally loud enough, and you jump up and say, oh, I believe in Jesus, we say then, you're saved. And you go right on back on life support, and the predicament of when you are going to perish is on the screen. So we got to stop lying on God. and stop selling Jesus. Because Jesus' blessing is not for sale. And everywhere we're being preached. And if you give a bigger piece of money, you're going to get a bigger blessing. If you're going to sow, if you're going to harvest money now, you got to put a big piece in. Well, where's the big piece going? The big piece is being harvested in Rolls Royces, Bentleys, Learjets, and most recently, we are discovering trips around the world with young men who are being brutally perverted into Sodom and Gomorrah by those who wield the power and the money in what we call churches. And we're calling upon you, our community, to wake up. Wake up to John 8:32. Only the truth is going to set you free. It may hurt you a little, it may pain you a little, but the truth, and only the truth, is going to free you. Now, I want you to look at the Gospel of John 4:24. How do we worship? How do we serve God? John 4:24. The Bible says that God is spirit. He's not Dr. Richmond's building. He ain't Reverend so-and-so's philosophy. And he sure ain't Reverend so-and-so's eloquent sermon. That's not what he said. The book said that God is spirit. And if you're going to worship God, you got to worship him in spirit and in truth. And then what are you going to do if you really been called by God? See, we've been lying. We've been lying. Man, we got to stop lying on God, stop selling Jesus, and stop using the threat of hell to frighten people into a false religion. Because if what we see in our world is any indication of people who have been born again, everybody needs to be born again. Because nothing has changed. Now, in the Gospel of Luke 4:12, Jesus is talking. And he says, when the Spirit of the Lord was upon me, this was his call. To those of you who said you've been called by God, I want to tell you what he's told you. Jesus said, when the Spirit of the Lord was on me, he anointed me to preach the gospel. And he told him who to preach it to. Preach the gospel to the poor. Now everywhere we go, people and religious leaders are bragging about how many wealthy folks they have in their congregation. How many lawyers and doctors and teachers and all that in the congregation. Because what that means is, that means there's going to be a great big amount of money that's going to be paid. That's the truth right there that I just spoke. The whole truth. And here's what did Jesus say? The Spirit of the Lord is upon you. He anoints you to preach the gospel to the poor. That's one category. Those are folks who need help. Those are folks who need redeeming. He also told you to give your tithe money to the poor and needy. All right? Those are the people who need help. He said, and then heal broken hearts. Those are the people that we must preach to. Broken hearts. As I listened to the lady that called me last night in Moscow. Now listen to this contradiction And I don't mean no harm, but we need to see it. Now, why the lady calling me in Memphis? She's in Moscow, gonna have the meeting at the Spring Hill Missionary Baptist Church in Moscow, calling me to come. And I'm going to answer the cries and the groans of the people. But now, this has to be a contradiction. Spring Hill Missionary Baptist Church, like all the rest of them, they got a minister. So why are they not answering the cries and groans of the people? I'll tell you why. Because they're too busy going to church on Sunday. So they don't have time to go talk about doing something to heal broken hearts. They don't have time, ain't no money in it. Ain't nobody paying for going into Jonesboro, Arkansas and trying to demand justice for our people who are being murdered and brutalized and killed every day of our lives. Ain't no money in that, so ain't nobody going. You got to pull your neckties off to go there. You got to face Pharaoh like Moses faced him to go there. But you see, the call of God is the same in Moses as it was with Jesus. Because he said, I have heard the cries and groans of my people. That's what the Lord said. By reason of their taskmasters. These taskmasters everywhere, they have killed 5 black people in Memphis over the past 90 days. And every one of these voices that claim to save us on Sunday morning have said nothing about it. Nothing. 5 murdered our people. 5. And you haven't said anything about it. So you need to stop lying on God, because if you believe that God is able, and he is, you wouldn't be afraid to step out on him. No, you just sitting behind the safety of a stained glass window for about an hour on Sunday, and then when you pull your clothes off and go home and kick your heels up, you finish with religion. And that's why I can say it from now until the hell that doesn't exist freezes over. This false slave religion we have as a people, we must be born again. And born again to John 4 and 24. That we are going to internalize and live out the truth that sets men free. And the truth must not just be spoken and must not just be heard. The truth must become flesh, that is, and dwell among us. We must be willing to present our bodies as a living sacrifice. I'm not afraid of the police chief in Jonesboro, Arkansas. What can he do? So I'm going to make this last announcement within the context of the message.